You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
We are live. We are Locked On Live right now. This has become a Friday tradition for the Locked On Hornets podcast. Hello, Hornets fans. Hello, national audience. I'm Doug Branson, one part of the Locked On Hornets podcast. I'm joined today by my old co-host, David Walker, and I feel like you are our resident classic Hornets historian, which is going to be useful today because we are really digging back into the archives here for this rewatch.
Oh, wow. That's just because I'm the oldest, right?
It's only because you're the oldest.
Okay, I'll take it.
Because,
you stick around long enough.
Well, listen, I know a lot about the classic Hornets because I've studied Hornets history. I am a Hornets historian, but you, sir, saw some of this stuff with your own eyes. Now, today we are going to be rewatching. I should go ahead and hit play on this. We should sync our play because we've got 50 minutes of delicious rewatch action to get to. This is going to be the second half of Hornets Bulls Game 2, 1995, a game that the Hornets won, so don't worry. The Hornets did win this, Hornets fans. But let's go ahead and sync our play, David, when you're ready. We'll go 3, 2, 1, play. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Synced.
All right, that's the beautiful voice of Marv Alberts.
God.
Oh, yes. Look at that. Who's he with there?
Gukas, Matt Gukas.
Oh, man. The Gookster.
Yeah, there's me. There's me right behind him. I don't know if you saw me. That was not me. Just kidding.
So this did take place at the Charlotte Coliseum, the old Charlotte Coliseum. For those that don't know, they do not play in this Coliseum. In fact, the Coliseum does not exist anymore. It was in South Charlotte. It is gone. They demolished it. Now they play uptown, right in the middle of the city. This did take place in 1995. A little context on this series. This is the MJ comeback year. So when you see Michael Jordan take the court here in a few minutes, now the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, he is going to be wearing the 45, David, the comeback year.
Yes, that's right. MJ wearing the 45. I was doing a little research leading up to this. Oh, there's the G-Man back there. But MJ originally wanted to come back and just play in the postseason, but he was talking to Phil Jackson and Curtis Polk, who some Charlotte Hornets fans may be familiar with, as well as David Falk, his longtime agent, and they finally settled in on like 17 games that he would play prior to getting to that postseason play. But just a really interesting time think about that, Doug. Think about that if like LeBron went to play soccer or something. I mean, that's what this would be like. This was such a weird and just like historical thing that happened when MJ came back and really had a different body, had a baseball body, built up the upper body a little bit more. So even now, I think was still getting back into basketball shape.
LJ pull-up jumper shorts. Oh, Muggsy with the three-point attempt. That's going to be short as well. Some tired legs here in this Game 2 second half. It was a strange event, and I think Jordan had a very baseball mentality there of like, I'll just come back in the postseason like a pitcher. We've seen that. Red Clemens did that a few years for the New York Yankees. That just seems like a very baseball thing to do, not something we're accustomed to in basketball. But, so this is the Jordan comeback year, and we talked to Del Curry one time on this podcast, who played in this game, obviously, ambassador for the Charlotte Hornets, current voice of the Charlotte Hornets for Fox Sports Southeast. And Curry said on that episode that he really felt like if Jordan had not come back, the Hornets had an opportunity. Because this was, what you're watching here, 1995, this is the height of the LJ, Zoe, Muggsy era. Like, this is as good as it got for them. They won 54 games this in the season that you're watching. But surprisingly, I'm going to double check this. Yeah, they're the 4 seed in this one.
So the Magic were the top seed, correct, with Penny and Shaq?
Yes, and the Bulls were the 5th seed this season. And this will go 4 games. This is Game 2 that you're watching. The Bulls would win Game 1, 108-100. Michael Jordan leading the way in Game 1, 48 points. Mourning would lead in rebounds with 13. It's funny, in all 4 of these games, I think Jordan led in scoring and Mourning led in rebounding. So this really was. There's Mourning's shot, by the way. Isn't that his shot? I mean, to me, that's like if
Yeah.
you, other than dunking, obviously, because he's a center, like to me, just right there at the top, to me, that's his shot.
I mean, you see MJ making some of these moves, and you see a little bit of the rust, but you can also see just the, the MJ jumper and the fluidity is there at times. Oh man, there he shoves. Who is that number 3? Hawkins? Percy Hawkins?
That is, I believe that is correct. I'm going to get numbers here in a second, but let me just kind of run down. Let me run down the roster for the Charlotte Hornets. Number 3 is Hersey Hawkins, Hornets legend.
The Hawk.
You've got Muggsy Bogues obviously wearing number 1. You've got Larry Johnson wearing number 2. Hersey number 3. You've got Alonzo Mourning in the 3-3, the double threes. Scotty Burrell in his second NBA season wearing number 24. You've got Del Curry obviously wearing number 30. 11 is going to be David Wingate. One of the forgotten, I feel like, shooting guards for the Charlotte Hornets.
So some interesting storylines just kind of intertwined in this thing. You mentioned Scotty Burrell. He would be a guy that would end up on the Bulls during this second three-peat run for Jordan and the Bulls toward the end of it. And a guy that MJ really, really hammered and like really, you hear these stories about
Can't wait
MJ
for the Last
being
Dance,
super
by the
tough. Way. Yeah. I mean, they might be featured in that because MJ really gave him a hard time, and Burrell, tried to go back at MJ and, show him that he wouldn't back down. And, I don't know that it all worked out super well in the end, but I think eventually MJ trusted him enough, and he showed that he was able to kind of hit open shots and do things for the Bulls that MJ approved of. So just interesting that Burrell, kind of started his career here and then ended up playing with MJ during that last stretch.
MJ rocking the goatee as well. Little comeback goatee. Now, were you pro MJ goatee or did you like clean shaven MJ?
So he first kind of rocked that in the Barcelona Olympics, and that was kind of like a summer thing for him. And I think it was an interesting look, but MJ obviously not a fan of it because he shed that. He shed the 45, went back to the old clean shaven guy. Seemed to maybe help his aerodynamics a little bit.
Did you see that bounce pass from Muggsy, by the way? I mean, he bounce passed it from the three-point line into the corner. That was insane.
BJ Armstrong. Another future. Now, he did play for the Hornets at some point.
That's true. Let me, by the way, Joe Wolf also on this roster, number 43. You're probably not going to see him in this one, but he is the current head coach of the Greensboro Swarm. The
also a member of the cast of Eddie, I believe, was a Charlotte Hornet in the movie Eddie.
How about this? Robert Parrish is on this Hornets roster. We're in the 00, and this would be his 19th year in the league. And he was actually in the game, the first series that the Hornets won, the Alonzo Mourning shot to win the game and send them to the second round. Robert Parrish was on the other side of the ball playing for the Celtics.
And would play for the Bulls as well. Doug, how great
timing on that. Look at that.
There. Oh, boy. Still looks pretty spry in those pinstripes.
You know what's interesting? We did a look back at the Alonzo Mourning trade. So basically, Alonzo Mourning, pretty quickly after this, asked to get out of town and go to Miami. He wanted to play for Pat Riley. He wanted to play in Miami. And,
of course.
So he basically asks out of Charlotte, even though he's signed to a big contract, and the Hornets do end up trading him. But I was doing research for this, David, to ask Rick Bonnell, the Charlotte Observer beat writer, about this. And so I was digging up all these old articles. And there are so many quotes from Robert Parrish about what went down. He was so talkative because, all of the Hornets got together at one point, maybe including LJ. Not quite sure if LJ was a member of this group of Hornets that got together and went to Alonzo and said, "Dude, stay." When we had not run into Jordan on a comeback, we probably had a shot to do this thing. We can actually make this thing happen, and Zoe turned him down. But Parrish was very talkative about the whole thing, and I thought that was crazy because, he's so known for being a Celtic.
Well, I can see he certainly carried a lot of weight with Alonzo, as did everyone else. How typical Hornets, Doug, is that they have this kind of peak of this team. They're the 4 seed. They've got home court advantage, and they're matched up against a team for most of the year that did not have the greatest player ever, but he came back just in time to face them in the first round of the playoffs.
Exactly.
I mean, doesn't that go down as, we talked about that last playoff run where with the when Kemba was here, the 4-way tie, right? They could have been as high as second or third or something, but they ended up way down, not getting home court advantage. So just another one of those like weird playoff blips that have kind of happened to the Hornets along the way.
Yeah, excuse me. They won 50 games in this season in 94, 95. They went 50 and 32. They were second in the Central Division. They had an offensive rating of 109.6 and a defensive rating of 106.1. Just in terms of your net rating, this was one of the better teams in Hornets history. And one of the more talented teams. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the Hornets' playoff history is littered with a combination of bad play and bad luck. This was, I think, a case of bad luck. You go to 96, 97. They win 54 games in 96, 97. This is your Glenn Rice, Anthony Mason era after the Zoe trade. And this was a team that won the most games in franchise history, yet I think they were the 6th seed, and they went up against a New York team that absolutely that burned them. And, so there's a first-round exit there on a season where they win 54 games, but so many other teams played well as well, and they get a 6th seed.
Yeah, and there you see LJ hitting that shorter three-pointer from the extended elbow area. That was really something that helped LJ boost his shooting when they moved that three-point line back in, or closer in. And so he's taking advantage over there. You still don't see many threes coming out of any of these games.
I love this. By the way, I love this Parrish Kukoc matchup right now.
Oh boy,
this is fun. I need to see more Bill Weddington.
That's Purdue.
Right now, that's what I'm saying. I need to see Bill Weddington.
Yeah.
I need to see his beautiful face on the floor. Hawkins, man, he was an offensive force. And he could hit threes too.
Oh yeah,
he was a shooter, baby. I'm telling you, I make the comparison all the time between Hersey Hawkins and Malik Monk, and people think I'm crazy, but I think he definitely had some Malik Monk type tendencies, or Malik Monk had some Hersey Hawkins type tendencies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, seems looking back.
Muggsy! Oh my!
With the dipsy dude.
Oh, and he was excited about it too.
Yeah.
And
LJ
listen,
was up for that too.
Oh, there's Curry off the bench.
There's DC for 3.
And look, Muggsy would push the pace. I mean, that was his game. Like, he's going to take advantage of you there.
He got the hive alive on that one.
Maybe, let me look up some season stats for Parrish, because he seems pretty vital in this series right now. Great pass.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at that pass back out.
He still looks pretty nimble, moving out there. He actually looks more so than that Celtics game we watched.
In terms of minutes played, he was 7th on the roster. He was the second bench player, only to Dell Curry, who was, the Hornets' 6th man for many, many years. Wow. He started 4 games, played all 85, including these 4 playoff games.
And think about that addition to the roster. I mean, you mentioned him trying to persuade.
God, he almost averaged 10 rebounds a game. He averaged, for the Hornets this year, he played every single game, and he averaged 9.3 rebounds and 10 points. He almost averaged a double-double for this team. This is crazy. Robert Parrish.
But bringing him on the roster to kind of, be the elder statesman and show Alonzo some of the ropes. I mean, a pretty smart pickup there if you think about it. Just a way. And, contributing on the floor, not just a locker room guy, as you noted.
Here's an odd name, too. Played 53 games, started for them. Greg Sutton shot 41%, was 37% from 3. Holy moly. Averaged 13.7 points per game, 5 assists. Who is this Greg Sutton?
I was going to say.
Part of this rewatch is just me looking up these guys. Okay, Greg Sutton played from 1991 to 96. Only played 2 seasons in Charlotte, but no, he played overseas for a few years. Played 4 seasons in the league. His rookie year was San Antonio, then Charlotte 94-95, and then played for Charlotte and Philadelphia 95-96. But man, Sutton, what a year, 94-95.
Jeez.
Where is he out of?
Big,
Oral Roberts.
Big year for Sutton. Big year for Sutton. The Oral Roberts connection, okay.
Was a
MJ for that short three is short.
Was the 22nd pick in the second round, 49th overall. Greg Sutton, there's a name for you.
I wonder what Greg's up to these days.
I don't know. I need to get him on the line, talk about this game.
Yeah.
All right, morning, backing down. Oh, travel? I don't know about that. Not in today's league.
Backing down Kukoc.
Hold on, not in today's league. I need to see a replay. Hold on, let's see.
Look at Kukoc.
What we got here?
Pippen. Classic Pip.
All right.
All right, Kukoc.
Yeah. Calm down. And
now that is baseball MJ right there.
Oh, and
there
that's baseball
was no
MJ
elevation.
And peak Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah. But you could see.
Look,
right
Alonzo. This was Alonzo's series, by the way.
Look at this. There's just no explosion there.
Oh, look at that. Zoe says no. Was that a T-shirt back in the day? Zoe says no, because if not, I'm taking a time machine back to 1995. I'm going to.
Tongue out.
And sell it. Zoe says no. That seems like a missed opportunity. Where were you at in 95? Come on, dude. That would have been an amazing T-shirt. I'm gonna make it.
I needed a quarantine to get my T-shirt game going.
Oh, there he is.
There he is, Bill Winnington. You talk about a
Winnington.
goatee, Doug. Now look, I mean, I don't know how you can fill out a roster of all-time goatees without including Bill Winnington.
There's no winning without Bill Winnington. He was 2 of 4 in this game, 4 points. Jordan did the bulk of the shooting in this one. He was 13 of 25, 52% from the field, 50% from 3. He finished the game with 32 points.
Damn, that is crazy.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, listen, he comes back. He got a few games under his belt. Also had 7 assists. Yeah, what happened to that guy? This was definitely...
Hornets still feeding Alonzo here pretty big.
Well, look, I mean, they basically got both blocks covered with back downs, and then they cut Hersey through the middle. So that's an interesting. I wonder if that was a set play or if that was just something they improv. But they had both blocks covered. They had Alonzo, and I believe that was LJ on the other block. And then you cut Hersey through the middle and try to get him there. Hornets up 5 right now. And I think everyone expected the Bulls to sweep the Hornets, right? I mean, this, even though the Hornets were the higher seed, they get the first 2 games at home. Jordan gets that first game.
I guess so.
And
yeah,
he gets the first game, and they win by 8.
First game.
And a more balanced scoring attack for the Hornets. They had Alonzo was 6 of 15 in this game, 10 of 10 from the line, 23 points. Larry Johnson, 25 points, 9 of 18. Crazy efficient game for LJ. Muggsy was 5-11. Hersey was 5-11, 15 points. And then Dell had chipped in 12 off the bench. Also making appearances in this game, Michael Adams, Darren Hancock, and Kenny Gaddison.
Oh, wow.
KG, the real KG, Kenny Gaddison.
Yeah, that's right.
The big
the
KG.
Gat man.
The Gat man. The G-Man.
LJ really went to that spin move a lot, and it was effective. He had a nice touch around the basket there. Got another one. Oh, we got technical? Got a technical on Phil Jackson.
That's not very Zen-like. He's upset.
Man.
Look, I mean, look how intense that is. I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a referee and Michael Jordan staring me down in the face.
With that goatee just coming over to you.
Oh, who hit that?
Del Curry.
Del Curry,
Del Curry making it interesting from the line there. He wanted to, what did he want? He wanted to travel, I think, on LJ. Gookus, man. This side are you on? Really, the Bulls.
Dude, Goog needs to calm down. He's just just put on a Bulls jersey already. Just say you love MJ.
You know, everyone was happy that MJ.
Goog wants to be like Mike. What is he doing? Hornets up 73-67.
Come up short on a couple threes here. There's Del Curry.
I appreciate how often NBC is putting the score up. That was a problem in in one of our
still.
rewatches where we just had no idea what the score was because it only. Oh my God,
Oh my God,
vintage,
that is just
fine wine, baby. You just gotta love and I'll tell you, growing up, I was not a fan of the Bulls. I was not a fan of Jordan for precisely this series because he just beat him down, and there was just no stopping him, and so I was not a big fan of MJ.
Think about that, though, Doug. Even today, looking back on this game in 1995, that impossible shot just seemed to come out of nowhere. But
let's see, they're gonna replay it. Here we go.
Dell loses
Hanging.
MJ. But I mean, look, he's on the other side of. Good Lord, he's on the other side of the paint. Jumps up and under.
The crazy part of this is that he's falling down as he's, pushing the shot up. It's not as if he's, hitting it at the arc of his jump.
Wanted a foul. Gukas should have gotten a foul. Bristow, no defense for that. Left-handed finish high off the glass, Doug. That's just, you're right.
Now, what is this that they're carrying through the crowd here? Did you see that?
That's the Bojangles brick. That is the Bojangles brick.
Did you attend this game? Or game one? You didn't attend either game in '95?
I don't think so.
I
was trying to think.
Embarrassment.
I know. I was trying to think back on that.
I mean, even though they're up 2, I probably remember feeling like they were going to lose this game. Oh, Muggsy, nice dribble there again, great pass. Muggsy still the all-time Hornets assist leader. Wow, took two giant farm boys to keep Alonzo Mourning from getting that.
Is that our first Hancock appearance? I'm not sure where he was. Yeah. Pippen, such a great defender, locked it. Is that Hancock there? Did you say Darren Hancock was the name?
That would be Darren. I believe it's Herbie Hancock. Yes, Darren Hancock, small forward out of Kansas. Was born in Birmingham, Alabama. Only spent a few years in the NBA. Was I believe drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, he was the 11th pick in the second round, 38th overall in the 1994 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets. Played 46 games in 94-95, started 7 of them. Then 95-96 would also spend that in Charlotte, but then would leave Charlotte to play for Milwaukee, Atlanta, and San Antonio the next season, and then he was donezo. Easy come, easy go, as they say.
That's right. Hornets up 4 here, Doug, with about a minute and a half to go in the third. MJ now on the bench taking a break, and the Bulls trying to work it around.
Oh, bad foul.
Hancock with a couple really not great moves.
I think we're seeing why he washed out of the league. I don't know. I look at Muggsy getting low on BJ. He says, look, if you want to see, and
Oof.
Is there a hard truth about Muggsy Bogues as legendary as he is in Charlotte, as beloved as he is in Charlotte, and beloved by me? Good God, Hancock, trying to end the guy's life.
Gukas could not have liked that.
Gukas is drawing up legislation to outlaw Darren Hancock in the NBA. As beloved as Muggsy is in Hornets history, Hornets lore, I'm not sure that he would survive today's game, right? Because it's not just about his inability to shoot threes. It's about the fact that he could get low on BJ and basically beg him to shoot over him because nobody could shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about him in today's game. Even back then, you see how much of a liability he could be at times because of the height issue. I mean, especially.
Oh, nice cut. Oh, nice behind. Behind the head pass.
Hancock.
Wow, Hancock making up for that foul in a big way.
And you saw that graphic there, Doug. Hancock is getting much more playing time now because it looks like Scott Burrell was injured, so he was not playing. So they moved.
Okay, watch this. I love this setup. You cut Hancock down the lane on an Alonzo post up because so much attention being paid. You saw Scotty try to go over there and double Kerr couldn't get back there in time.
Oh, we like that.
Oh, man. Yeah, great cut there by Hancock.
Newly in for the Bulls as well, Doug, Steve Kerr.
Yeah, played 22 minutes in this one and scored. He was 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3, 5 points. There are only 7 players that played over 20 minutes for the Bulls in this one. Kerr, Longley, Purdue, Kukoc, B.J. Armstrong, Mike, and Scotty. Pete Myers, Judd Beckler, and Corey Blunt would accumulate 13 minutes in between them and really do not a lot. You'll see them coming up because the Hornets, spoiler alert, they get a little bit of a lead coming up.
Pete Myers, man, unfortunate role to fill in or to quote-unquote replace Michael Jordan when he did retire the first time to go play baseball. Stayed on the team after that. I can't imagine how effing awkward that must have been. But he did stick around. I don't know if he's still on the bench for the Bulls, but I know he was assistant coach there for quite a few years. But what a weird place in history to be the guy that had to kind of follow in Michael Jordan's footsteps.
Yeah, this would
Parrish with a nice little step out.
This would be his last full season in Chicago before actually he played for the Hornets in 95-96, if you can believe it. Played for Miami and Charlotte in 95-96. That's crazy. And then also Pete Myers fact, Basketball Reference lists his nickname as Skeeter Hawk.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, Wennington.
Man, hold on.
Oh, man. The Hornets just cannot get the ball.
Hold on. Is Darren Hancock the greatest passer that the Hornets have right now? Because he is throwing some highlights right now. Looks like he's hurt.
Look at that crowd. Look at that crowd, Doug. You know, there was a little Twitter chatter this week coming out of the Kemba Walker long-form essay article about, you know, some comments he had about his mom not being the only one to cheer in the crowd anymore once he got shipped off to Boston. And you look at the crowd here, Doug, the original Hornets fan base, they are just going crazy for this fourth quarter.
Now, let's have this conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're probably going to have this conversation again on Monday's show, but like, what do you think about that comment? What feelings did that elicit in you when you first read them?
Honestly, I thought it was like one of those comments that you just kind of say. I mean, Kemba Walker is not the type of guy that's ever going to talk bad about Charlotte or the fan base here. And to your point, when they were making playoff runs, that place was filled just like it is on this video. You know what I mean? And for much of Kemba's duration here, there weren't reasons to be in that building, you know, cheering very loudly. So I get it if people were kind of stung by that or offended. But I mean, look, Doug, we've watched every game. There were many games where there were no people there. I mean, what do you want? You want to say that was not so there weren't people there? I mean, you've always been on the floor, and if the team is not moving in the right direction.
Well, say that again, David. You kind of froze up there for a second. Say that again.
Oh, you've been the one to say that you don't want a fan base, and you've brought up the Chicago Bulls for a lot of years have just been showing up out of habit, I guess, or showing up when the product is not upholding its end of the bargain on the floor. So I don't think the Hornets fans are unlike most people's fans, most teams' fans. They're not going to show up if the product isn't good and if there's no reason to get excited.
Well, that's just it, right? I mean, the Hornets fans did do that for a long time. They sold out the Coliseum until 1997 because this was the first professional sports franchise in Charlotte history, and Charlotte they didn't even think they were going to get this team. I mean, it was really an upset that they were even awarded the team because they only had 350,000 people living in the city at the time. Now I think it's up over 3 million, but at the time it was really a very small city. And so there was such an underdog mentality and such excitement. This was pre-Carolina Panthers, so this was the first professional sports franchise. And people loved this team no matter how bad they played. In the first 4 seasons in Charlotte Hornets history, they were dead last in their division each year. But people supported this team blindly because of that love and that passion. And then by 1997, they were looking for results. And then, of course, it dwindled until they unfortunately left Charlotte and went to New Orleans. And that stung the city, I think, in a lot of ways. And there was competition now. You had the Carolina Panthers, this NFL franchise. And so when they came back as the Bobcats, it just wasn't a given that people were going to show up for basketball again. It was going to have to be something that they earned. It wasn't going to be unearned like it was in 1988. And they simply haven't earned that right. And yeah, I don't want them to be Chicago. I want them to say, hey, franchise, you have to win playoff series. You have to put us on national TV. You have to give us some championship hope, no matter how false. There has to be some hope. And I honestly believe that. Look, I'm a diehard fan, so I'll go to games and I'll watch all the games. And a lot of people that listen to our podcast are diehard fans, and they don't understand, like, why are the seats not filled? You know, when we had Kimba, when we were making when we had playoff hope. And it's because I really believe that the average sports fan that isn't like plugged into Charlotte Hornets basketball, that the average mom and dad who are looking for something to do with their kids, who don't watch every game, they want to know that if they spend an amount of money to go to the arena, that they're going to watch a good product. So they'll go see LeBron, right? They'll go see Anthony Davis. You know, there's these players that they'll go see because they know they'll have an experience. Yeah. Steph Curry. They'll go see Steph Curry because they know they'll have an experience. They're not going to go see Hornets Magic. There's no experience there because they don't believe that the Charlotte Hornets are going to put on a show, because they have not seen that on national TV. They haven't seen that in the playoffs. So that's just it. The fans will come back, and both the diehard fans and the average, mom and dad with kids, they're all going to come back if the Hornets win playoff series and there is some hope that this team could make a finals. And that's the challenge for the franchise. And they know it. Clifford knew it. Clifford knew that he would make mention that, look, these fans will get up when we give them something to get up for.
Yeah, and I understand Hornets fans, especially the ones that are going to the games, watching the game, supporting the team. They see a comment like that, and it feels like a kick in the gut a little bit. But unfortunately, that, to your point, it's just the fact of the matter, I think. I mean, you turn on the game sometimes, and literally like a Monday night or Tuesday night game, and it's sparse in there, right? So, like, that doesn't go unnoticed, and certainly for somebody
look
like
at LJ.
Players notice
look at LJ and MJ right now battling it out on the post. Oh, Jordan won that one though. Look at these two. Just
the swing. You got to hit that. Oh, that's great. That's just great. They swing it all the way around to Dell, who was wide open for that three.
Physical battle down there between LJ and MJ. That was fun to watch. But yeah, I didn't take any offense to Kimba's, because I don't think Kimba showed his appreciation whenever he had the opportunity for the city and for the fans. I think that, to me, I read that as, yeah, there was nobody in the stands because they never got me any help, and we were never really a true playoff contender. So yeah, you're not going to be the only one cheering anymore. It was just an honest assessment of the facts. I don't think it was Kimba like making a barb at Charlotte fans by any stretch of the imagination.
But then the secondary reaction to that, like, ooh, it's a total indictment. I mean, I don't know.
It's an indictment of a franchise that hasn't gotten out of the first round in two decades.
Right.
MJ one-on-one versus LJ. I love MJ LJ right now. Look at this.
Oh, I mean, good coach. Popular spot for the three back there. No, I'm going in for the Bulls though. Inside Stuff placard on the advertisement there. What a classic show. Michael Adams in here for a little relief time. Doug subbing in for Muggsy, giving him a blow.
Oh wow, that was an MJ push off there by Curry. Giving DC the
Dell. Look at that, getting fired up.
91-76. Hornets up big now. And that may have, look at that, NBC. Nobody beats Charlotte. Oh, look at that. Oh, getting the respect. DC getting the MJ respect on the push off. Oh, yeah. Give it to him, DC. That's great. Is that true? Is that where Civilization was heading? The Toyota 4Runner.
No, ultimately it was not true. No.
No, we weren't. Welcome back. That's my Marv Albert impression. Welcome back.
Another thing that strikes me watching all these old games, Doug, and you don't see every second of it, but it doesn't look like there's, during breaks in today's games, there's never a dull moment. There's so much emphasis on keeping the attention on the court, I guess, or people in the stands entertained, but like it's really just the cheerleaders. Like there's no announcers, there's no going up into the stands, there's no t-shirt guns, there's like none of that stuff going on in between play, and just something different between the NBA presentation, game day presentation, then and today. It's weird.
Oh, well, I mean, because I think, professional sports were a little bit of a novelty, especially in Charlotte. And now it's like, no, we got to find some different ways to keep people interested and give them incentives for coming to the game. Although they did have the parachute drop, right? I mean, they had a few of those things.
I guess so. Morning, really, really trying to stake his claim out here in this game, it feels like. 91-76. 91 points with 6 minutes to go. I mean, not something I don't think you saw a lot in this day and age, certainly not from the Hornets.
Oh, no, this was basically Chicago imposing a little bit of their defensive will on a team that was scoring very well. Was top 10 in the league in scoring. So even though the Hornets do come away victorious in this one, and certainly we're giving a lot of hope to Charlotte Hornets fans that they could take down, Goliath and take down Michael Jordan, you had to walk away from this game going, wait a minute, we played Chicago's game and won, and that would, really kind of dictate the rest of the series as well.
You see Zoe spread out wide here up at the three-point line where they're really trying to get LJ going in the post. They didn't have those two guys in there, at the same time, kind of holding down both ends of the block. They were really trying to give LJ some room to operate. And Zoe actually hit a three a little earlier. Good God, look at that mullet on Joe Wolf. That thing is just...
All right, you're watching this rewatch of the 1995 NBA Eastern Conference playoffs, Game 2 between the Hornets and the Bulls. You're listening to Locked On Hornets here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're doing this rewatch because, as you know, sports have come to a screeching halt. Basketball, at least live basketball, is benched. Pitchers are off the mound, but our friends at MyBookie, great sponsors of this podcast, they are not going to let you down. You can stay sane and stay entertained with access to your favorite games like blackjack, roulette, slots, war, and more. It doesn't matter whether you're out on the front lines or you're quarantined at home. The fun doesn't have to come to an end with mybookie.ag. If video poker is not your thing, that's cool. They've got you covered with a host of live casino dealers online. That's right. They have professional dealers at their tables, live on site 24/7. You can trust the industry leaders in times like these. They are reliable, they're upright, and best of all, they pay fast when you win. So visit mybookie.ag and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA, all one word, for a 150% bonus on your first casino deposit. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA to receive a 150% cash bonus on your first deposit. And you can claim those extra funds all the way up to $750. Support our show by supporting our sponsors, MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code LOCKEDONNBA, all one word. You spin, you win, you get paid. A 12-point lead for the Hornets with 5:36 left to go in the fourth quarter. They're moving the ball around. They're still backing down with LJ. And you can see anytime LJ... Oh, look at the love there.
Oh,
the
man.
love.
You thought things were so good. Think about...
Well, things are always better
feelings
on the field of battle, right? I mean, because we know there is some beef between these two, or there was. Oh, look at that. Huge.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Next Sunday, Jurassic Park.
Next Sunday, 8/7 Central, Jurassic Park on NBC. That's a relic of an old era, right? When network television would get the big movies, right? This would have been them trying to compete with HBO.
Right. And I saw this week that CBS is going back to that. They're going back to that model a little bit, bringing back their like Saturday night primetime blockbusters. I don't know
Wow.
if that's a permanent thing, but it's certainly probably
Well,
having to do
yeah.
with the current state of things.
Right now there are no blockbusters, so
Yeah. A charge on MJ. This is when you really had to start feeling good
Ooh.
about the Hornets' chances because they just called a offensive foul on MJ.
You think this
Trying to
series will
make a
make the
little
last
run here.
dance?
What's that?
I mean, this series has to at least get a mention in the last dance, right? I mean, this was his comeback.
I believe it's focused on that last season, but I could be wrong.
But I think they could add some context. Maybe they just mention like, you know, the comeback and then what they were able to do in this and not do this year.
If you see the people that are in this, you know, in that trailer,
Ooh.
it's so weird. It's like Carmen Electra, Justin Timberlake.
Noted Michael Jordan expert, Carmen Electra.
Well, I'm sure she'd be talking a little bit more at length on Dennis Rodman and some of his abilities. But yeah, I don't know, man. That thing, we haven't talked about that, I think, since the news came down. Obviously, I'm very excited about that. And also excited that LeBron took credit for it, getting that pushed up a little bit.
God, no one really stepped up and helped Michael Jordan in this game. I mean, it was all MJ here at the end, but I mean, Scottie didn't have a great game. None of his bigs helped him out. I mean, this was a frustrating season and end of the season for
Pete Myers did nothing.
Where were you, Petey? We needed you, Pete Myers. There's an iconic shot of Alonzo Mourning coming up at the end of this one. One of the, I think, two iconic moments for Alonzo Mourning. The shot against the Celtics to win that first series and him lying on the ground, swamped by Charlotte Hornets. Dog piling on top of him.
Yeah, MJ's heating up a little bit here. I think that may have been long too, but he just hit a three.
They're down 10 with 4 to go. A little too late, I think, as Muggsy. They still got, I mean, Charlotte still got all their major players out right now. They're not backing down at all.
Yeah.
Oh, DC and BJ giving it to each other right now. Love that. A little trash talk between two guys you don't really associate with trash talk. It's been a physical game, man. Anytime LJ or Alonzo try to get something going down inside, there have been 3 Bulls ready to knock them down to the ground.
Yeah, just under 4 minutes. Timeout, up 10.
Oh.
Speaking of premiere movies, Doug.
Oh, new Sequest coming up. Make sure you check that out. NBC rocking some powerhouses. Sequest.
And the return of Hunter.
Tried to blitz that pick and roll there with Scottie and BJ. Didn't work.
Yeah, Scottie, pretty quiet in this one.
Fourth personal. 14th
foul on Pippen. Has not done much at all. Certainly on the offensive end. I think he's been harassing more on the defensive end, but has not chipped in that much to help this Bulls comeback against the Hornets. Now looks like
again blitzing the pick and roll, but he gets the pass down to LJ and the foul. I mean, they're doubling the ball handler on every pick and roll at this point, but Curry, good pass over the top, down into the roll man, LJ. MJ.
Yeah, Goatee
exhausted.
Goatee Jordan felt like, a bit of a retirement or comeback face. I think I'm with you. I think, once he went back to whatever mustache he had, it got a little more in the groove for him.
So had the Hornets managed to win this series, they'll win this game here in a few minutes, but had they managed to win this series, they would have gone on to face the Shaq and Penny Orlando Magic.
That would have been tough, Doug. I know that.
Zoe was peak Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe.
I mean, that's
Shaq.
To me, talk about one of the what ifs in Charlotte Hornets history, I think, is we didn't get that Zoe Shaq playoff matchup. Now, and Walker and I talked about this, like, what would they, if I could talk to Bristow right now, I'd be like, Bristow, okay, I know you probably weren't looking ahead to the Magic, but what would you have done about Penny? Like, where would you have put Muggsy at that point?
Talk about Muggsy, right? Yeah, they could have taken him right out of the game for large portions of it. I don't remember who else was on that roster. Was that for the Magic? I mean, in that backcourt, I guess Nick Anderson.
Let's see, you're 90.
Penny. I'm just trying to think where they could hide Muggsy. You know what I mean? Certainly not on Penny. I mean, he would just abused him at what, 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, so that would have been Penny Hardaway, Shaq, Horace Grant, Nick Anderson, and Donald Royal. And then Dennis
Royal.
Scott off the bench and Brian Shaw.
It's a good team. Oh!
There was a guy. Daryl Armstrong was on that roster, pride of Gastonia. Went to my high school, Ashbrook.
Yeah.
Go
He
Green
was
Wave.
on that roster?
Must have been his rookie year.
Okay.
And also the averaging only played in one game. Gert Hamming
Wow. That sounds made up.
from the Netherlands. He was a center, 7 feet tall, 262 pounds. Gert Hamming. Good old Gert. Played 8 games in his NBA career. There's your Gert Hamming.
So,
stats.
Doug.
Hey,
the
let me ask you something
Hornets-
real quick.
Yeah.
Before you get to that, because we talked about this on Wednesday's show. Dave Hoppin. You remember anything about Dave Hoppin? Would have been on the
Vaguely,
88, 89 team.
Yes. Okay.
He was in The Athletic. Ron Boone did a survey of 300 Hornets fans, and one of the questions was, "Who is your favorite all-time Hornet?" And Dave Hoppin got a vote. So my question is, was that you?
What?
Was that you? Were you? Did you participate in the survey and troll by adding Dave Hoppin, a center that played for the inaugural 88-89 Hornets? And do you have any
No, wow.
memories of Dave Hoopin?
No, just that he was on the team.
Look at Kerr.
What a wow.
Oh, if we only knew.
Dave Hoppin got a vote, huh?
Hoppin, yeah, that was probably the strangest player that got a vote. Kimba overwhelmingly won that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Kimba saying that is going to hurt his stature with the fans. And people love
I don't
Kimba.
think. I think
They
most people, if
sympathize. They
there's a side-
sympathize with Kimba.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
Like, we know we stink.
They blame MJ. I mean, of course, but
You know what's funny? MJ, so that was one of the questions as well. Like, what do you think of MJ as an owner? And I was surprised at how high his approval rating was. I mean, it was sitting at around, I would say it was sitting around 40%. 40, a little bit above 40%.
you know why? I mean, we're so much on Twitter and reaction of just the negative stuff, right, from MJ, for people wanting to blame him for everything. So I suppose that makes sense that just anyone.
Oh, Muggsy sneaking in there. Can't find him. Too small.
Loses Muggsy on the back door.
Muggsy, too small. Oh, poking.
Oh,
LJ poking. Is he going to embarrass him? Oh, he was close. He was close with the steal and the layup.
You see that, though. Of course, I believe this is the year of the famous rundown steal by Nick Anderson on Michael Jordan coming up in that Magic series. So you still see some rust on MJ. And that LJ steal is just another example of that pick in the pocket of the greatest.
So the classic Hornets wrapping this one up, this 95 game 2. They'll tie the series. They'll get the hopes up of many Charlotte Hornets fans, probably including David Walker at the time, who was watching this very
And
intent.
Dave Hoppin.
And Dave Hoppin, who was definitely, I think Dave Hoppin may have voted in the, I'm not going to say he voted for himself, but Dave Hoppin got a vote, and I'm pretty sure he was in the survey. Look at Muggsy. I mean, that would have been a crowd to be in, huh?
Yeah, it would have been good. I don't know why I don't remember that. I guess I wasn't there.
Well,
I guess
so these are weird times, I mean, our brain
That's
power
true.
is
That is
being
true.
reserved for a lot of different things. But it's fun, man. It's fun to watch this team. This team had a lot of passion, and it's It's bittersweet because you want to think about like, man, if the players could have convinced Alonso to stay, but Alonso wanted to play in a place with luxury boxes. Strangely enough, that was a factor. He's like, Charlotte doesn't have any luxury boxes.
He was right. Yeah, the old Charlotte Coliseum, Doug, only had like 3 on either side. So it was like, I think a total of 6, if I remember correctly. This was like just before the boom in the luxury box era. So the old Charlotte Coliseum, that was always a big takeaway for people criticizing that place. It's just that, or, people that are looking for luxury boxes. But they had a couple up there. But, of course, the team couldn't make money that way being,
this broadcast from YouTube coming to us from Indianapolis, Channel 13. Now, here's the iconic moment, the iconic shot. Oh, yep, there it is. Let him hear it. It's a Hulk Hogan move. Wonder if Zoe was a big wrestling fan.
I wonder why Zoe didn't try and patent that big old wristband that he wore and that he wiped his brow with prior to every free throw. That was really his signature, and you never saw him come out with, try and go with the Zoe towel. How would you do, like, the Zoe wristband? Look at that.
I mean, it could have,
Really
like I said,
planned
had
it
they
out.
been able to keep it together. I'm going to kind of pull up I got some Gert Hammock stats right here, but I'm going to pull up that Hornets franchise index really quick. And in that next season, so that was 94-95, they went 50-32. And then the next season, Bristow goes 41-41. And they, LJ leads the team, obviously, because, they weren't able to keep it all together. So there you go.
That's it.
That's all. Thanks for doing this rewatch with us. We appreciate you listening to the show. Locked On Hornets. Go subscribe. Locked On Hornets on the Locked On Podcast Network. There you go. There's your final stats. Bulls lead 2-1. I guess this would be this is game 4. So this is going to be maybe our next rewatch. We can rewatch this TNT game here, 95 Bulls game 4 as they wrap things up. But thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, Locked On Hornets on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks to our sponsors, MyBookie, Queen City Beauty Group. Go to queencitybeautygroup.com. Get a e-gift card that you can use later. They've been a great local sponsor for us. Thanks to David Walker. Thank you, David, for joining me on this adventure.
Always. Absolutely.
We'll do this again next Friday, and also we've got shows coming up on Monday and Wednesday. Make sure, I think you can still vote in our Greatest Moments bracket on Twitter at Locked On Hornets. Region 2 will reveal Region 3 next week as we continue. And we're going to be looking at, we've already determined, David, and I wonder if you agree with this, the greatest season in franchise history, 2000-2001. Do you agree with that?
Oh, man.
Over this season, over 96-97. We went with that because of the playoffs. They were one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, probably the closest they ever got.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where we landed, but we're going to be looking at some other best seasons in franchise history next week as well, so make sure you're tuned into that. All right, for David and Walker, I'm Doug Branson saying, go Hornets, go America, let's swarm Charlotte.